Kansas City has long been known as a jazz city, but for many, its legacy can feel like something from the past or outside our daily lives. The truth is, jazz is still thriving here thanks to the efforts of local musicians, iconic venues, and institutions like the American Jazz Museum. Located in the heart of the 18th and Vine District, the museum continues to preserve and celebrate this vibrant history. Now let's hear from one of its representatives.
My name is Kara Smith, and I'm the Education Programs Manager here for the American Jazz Museum. So the museum was founded in September of 1997. It was a project from multiple people: Emanuel Cleaver II, Black Archives, Horace Peterson, and the Mutual Musicians Foundation. The idea behind the museum is to cover many local musicians, Kansas City jazz masters, and international jazz musicians through the use of four main entities: Ella Fitzgerald, Duke Ellington, Charlie Parker, and Louis Armstrong. Kansas City is very unique with jazz because we had kind of our own style. It's more reminiscent of the swing style, and so there's a little more blues influence in the sound. However, Kansas City was one of the areas that was not impacted by prohibition because we had Pendergast. 20s to the 50s was really the boom of jazz, so there was a lot of nightlife and upwards of about 200 clubs between 12th and Vine and 18th and Vine here in the district. Right down the street from us here is the Mutual Musicians Foundation, which was the first Black musicians union to help people air their grievances, to make sure they had gig supports, and it also was like a local performing house. Today it still acts as a union and performing house, but that's part of the reason jazz thrived, because many of the jazz epicenters did not have a place for Black musicians to make sure that they could take care of their healthcare needs. They could make sure they were paid for gigs, especially with segregation and things like that and racism in America. But that was also a really big reason that jazz was alive here, and a reason that the museum was able to be successful in its creation.
While the American Jazz Museum preserves Kansas City's jazz history, venues like the Blue Room keep it alive. It's here I heard one of the musicians shaping the city's jazz scene today.
I'm Brant Jester. I play piano professionally for a living, mostly jazz, although I did classical piano for my undergrad. But then I moved here about 4 years ago, and I finished my master's at UMKC in piano. And since then, I get to teach privately. I have a little piano studio and just play gigs, usually doing about at least 20 gigs a month. So that's kind of how I make my living. The night that you came to the Blue Room was the very first time I had ever played with Gerald Spates on bass and Taylor Babb on drums. I had never played in a group with those two together before. And that's something that's fun, is I've played with them individually, but not together. And we just decided on the tunes just, right before the gig, and didn't rehearse or didn't do anything, And I think that's why I like jazz. It cuts out a lot of the other things that happen in different styles of music, where a lot of times I don't have to rehearse with people. I can just play. It's like having a conversation, just like what we're doing right now. None of this was planned, but we're able to communicate through this medium of the English language. So that's how I feel like it is playing jazz music, because everybody listens to a lot of the same music. And there's a lot of music happening here, on the slowest night of a week, usually Monday nights. There's usually at least 6 or 7, maybe 8 gigs happening, and that's just on the weakest night of the week. So,
how's everybody doing tonight?
Right, super. Yeah.
Super. I like that. Dave thinks that's super. I do too. Well, it's good to be out here. Good to see you guys. This is my second week in a row here, joining the Brant Jester trio. That is me. I have Gerald Spates on the bass.
All right.
Kansas City native. I've also got Taylor Babb on drums.
All right.
Also Kansas City, Kansas native. I'm glad to be here. We're going to play some music for you.
And so for me, my personal sound or my spin on the music, I'm not really sure what it is yet. I haven't released a record yet, and I plan to do that in this next upcoming year. I love what I do. I think it's one of those things, to be a musician. For me, it's kind of funny. Like, I have a master's degree in music, but that doesn't even mean anything, because you don't have to have a degree, to work or be a working musician. Just, it's kind of more about, your skill and how you are as a person. It's not easy, but I definitely feel like between what I get to do versus some other people, it's a miracle.
As Brant said, being part of Kansas City's jazz scene is nothing short of a privilege, but it's also a privilege to experience it. Whether at the Blue Room's weekly jam sessions, the American Jazz Museum's upcoming events like Women in Jazz, or the countless live performances around the city, Kansas City Jazz isn't just music. It's a celebration of history, collaboration, and the vibrant spirit that keeps this community alive.